this is a huge deal. It's a huge honor for us to talk to Ben Askren. Obviously, we've talked to him many times before throughout the vast majority of his MMA career, and even after his MMA fighting days were over the summer. We received some scary news, and by now you know everything that he has been through, so I don't have to go into it right here and now. As we introduce him, we'll get into it with him. And so I'll just say, without further ado, it is a massive pleasure and honor to have the one and only Funky Ben Askren on the program. Let us say hello to him on this Monday afternoon. There he is. What's up, Ben? How are you?
I'm having a good day today.
Any truth to the rumor that you said, man, I need more chats with Ariel. I'm not. This is what I need in my life. This would be the best medicine. Is that true?
Sometimes rumors get skewed a little bit, so I don't know. I don't know there's any truth to that, but you never know.
Well, it's lovely to see you, honestly, and sincerely and genuinely. And you look like your old self. I'm sure you don't necessarily feel like your old self.
Well, I have my shirt on, so you can't see.
Okay.
You can see how skinny my arm is still. I have obviously gained weight. The lowest weight I had was 138, probably 25 or so pounds heavier than that now. Putting my weight on has been difficult. At first, all the food tastes like shit. And then even after it stopped tasting like shit, I thought it was going to, so I didn't want it, type thing. So yeah, this dealing with kind of issues like that. But food is finally starting to both look good and taste good, so it's much easier to put on weight.
Okay. If you don't mind, and I know you've talked to a few outlets about everything, but obviously I'd be remiss if I don't ask you about how this all started. I had heard, and we could jump off from here, that you were just having some back problems in late May,
Yeah.
and you thought it was a back spasm.
Yeah. So I've had, I don't know, probably mostly 5 back spasms over the course of my career in a very similar spot on my right lower back. I actually rolled with Rafael Lovato on Friday. He posted that video of us rolling. And actually, it's funny, he posted the part he posted where I tried to do a Peterson, but he was just too damn big. That was actually the part I was thinking like, oh, that was probably what did it right there, because I was trying to force him over and he was just too big and strong. And then I wrestled the next day, and then I came home and I played disc golf. And at no point did I feel anything. And then, like, Saturday afternoon, we went to a friend's like pool get together, and my back started hurting. Like, I didn't even want to step by the pool. I like went and got some ice. I'm like, oh man, I got a back spasm. Yeah, and then I tried some chiropractic, and it was funny because that actually helped for a little bit. So I might have I potentially had both the back spasm plus this other thing. I don't know for certain. But yeah, then it continued hurting. On Tuesday, we left for Vegas for the Bitcoin conference, and it was still bad. And then on Wednesday, my wife forced me to the hospital, at which point I told them I had a back spasm and I had a history of them. I got a little bit of medicine for that, and it didn't work worth a damn. By the next morning, I was way worse. I was in really rough shape, and I went to the hospital. I remember walking in. I don't remember anything else.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You were sort of fighting your wife, Amy, about going to the hospital, right?
Yeah, I'm stubborn, right? Yeah, I'm stubborn, and I always think I'm okay. And honestly, for probably the rest of my life, that's worked out pretty damn well for me. But I actually didn't fight that hard and I think like subconsciously, maybe I knew something was wrong and I didn't want to admit it. Because if I want to fight something hard enough, I'm just not going to do it, which is, that happens a lot of times in my life. So I think maybe subconsciously I did know something was wrong, and I just didn't want to admit to it. And I was really excited about a bunch of the speakers at the Bitcoin conference, and like I can deal with pain. So yeah, I think that was. But luckily, listen, if she wasn't there, I don't know that I would have went.
Okay.
I would have had to pass out or something first.
So you say that you went into the hospital, and you're still in Vegas at this point, right?
Correct.
And then you say like you go in and then you don't really remember anything else. What have you been told? Like what happened to you in that moment?
Oh, you got to talk to my wife about that. But so yeah, I went in Wednesday. We went to the exact same place on Thursday, and the Thursday I remember walking in the like waiting room, like the front part, and I don't remember anything after that till I woke up. Like I think it was like July 2 maybe or somewhere around that time. Don't remember the exact date. Um, but yeah, so what actually happened, like I said, there may have been a back spasm also that was confusing me, but I had this little spot of staph on my elbow, and you don't need, or at least to my experience prior to this, you don't need antibiotics for every staph, right? So I showered real well, I cleaned it, I used some antibacterial and that type of stuff, and it went away. Like right, it was like on my elbow, and then a few days later it clears up, it looks all healed, but they say it somehow got into my bloodstream, which listen, I'm not a doctor, I don't know how that works, but it did. Um, and then from the bloodstream stream, somehow it got into the lungs,
Damn.
and then it's eating my lungs. So that's kind of the long and short of it. I think in the beginning they thought they could do heavy doses of. I wasn't awake for this, right? So this is
Right.
like hand knowledge. Heavy doses of antibiotics, and it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And essentially, I was on a whole bunch of machines to keep me alive. And then at some point, they realized the only way I was going to stay alive was if I got a lung transplant. So when I woke up, I had two new lungs.
Did you have pneumonia?
They called it necrotizing pneumonia. But prior to like me going to the hospital, I think I'd even worked out a couple days in there. Like it wasn't like I was short of breath or like none of that stuff. I didn't really feel sick. I guess the last morning before I went in, I would say yeah, I didn't feel very good. But like the day or two prior to that, like I would tell you, I felt completely fine. Like I said, I'm pretty certain I worked out on Tuesday and or Wednesday. Um, yeah, so it was shocking to me.
For the vast majority of the time you're talking about here, are you in Wisconsin or are you in a Vegas hospital?
So we were in Vegas. I went to one hospital for 2 days, and I guess, man, I'll probably start crying, but I had so many people who were so good to me. So two of our friends, one of which is a doctor, and one of which she was actually a nurse practitioner in the CVIU that I would actually end up in Milwaukee. Like she's kind of in charge of it. Um, they both flew to Vegas,
Wow.
help my wife, and so they kind of just determined the first hospital didn't have what it took, and they got me transferred to this better hospital in Vegas. Like I said, I don't remember any of this. They got me transferred to a better hospital, and then they just started doing research. And actually, the hospital here in Milwaukee has a really good department for this type of thing. And so, they suggested that I come back here, and a bunch of them, they even put together like, I essentially took like a private jet with medical stuff on it. So, because obviously, I wouldn't have been able to be off stuff for long enough to fly back, right? So, it had to be this very specific type of medical flight. And I flew from Vegas to Milwaukee, and they got me to Freighter, which is the hospital here. And it's local, but apparently they're really, really good at the specific thing I needed.
For the beginning of this, none of us really knew about it in terms of the media or the community. I'm sure,
Yeah.
obviously, people close to you, and then word started to trickle out, and honestly, and I'm sure this is not news to you, but the word wasn't great. Even some people saying
Yeah.
this is it, which was shocking. And
I mean, honestly, Ariel, from what I've heard from other people, um, there was multiple times when it was almost over.
wow,
And so, um, I know one time I had two friends that were in there, and like literally my heart stopped for like 20 seconds, right? And I guess it happened like multiple times in a couple hours, and they were all scared shitless. And I don't remember any of it. And then there was a few other times where my wife said, like it wasn't good. And eventually they sedated me so hard because every time I would even move a little bit would affect my oxygen levels. So yeah, I mean, I don't remember any of it, but yeah, I don't think it was very good.
when you got better and spoke to doctors about it, did they say this was a miracle? Did they think that you were not going to get out of this?
There was, it's funny because they know I don't think they want to express that to you, but yeah, there's a few that thought I was a goner. And honestly, had I not got the lung transplant in such expedited fashion, um, and I did that because I met all their criteria. Right? I had a life-threatening illness. I was young. I was healthy. I don't drink. I don't smoke. Right? So all these metrics they wanted me to hit, I was there. And so, I got a lung transplant relatively quickly. And, who knows? Honestly, with that, I don't know.
Wow. And it was a double lung, right?
There are two new lungs.
Wow. And how long is that surgery?
So I don't know. I wasn't there.
No, well, I mean, I guess technically you were there, but like, what did they say? Is that like, I don't know anything about it. It's like a 10-hour
Yeah.
surgery. I mean, it sounds pretty.
It's probably a long time because I know they said they had to like scrape my previous lungs out of my chest cavity, which sounds awful. I don't even they cut me straight across like here and they just open it up, which sounds awful.
Yeah. Do you know anything about the donor?
I don't. They don't really tell you that. After a while, they'll give you the option to message them, and then if they want to, well, that was not the donor, right? The donor's
Sure.
family.
Sure.
If the donor's family wants to message you back, they can. So, yeah, I'll see on that one.
Okay. One thing that I was wondering about, and I hope you know I'm not trying to make you emotional here, but I was thinking about this a lot.
Okay.
We know a little bit about your wife. She's on social media, and I know you have kids. You're out of it, right? Like you don't know, and so in a crazy way, they're the ones who are really suffering in the sense that like they have to see you in this state.
Yeah.
Did your
Yeah.
kids know about? I mean, I'm sure they knew because you were in the hospital. How did you deal with that, or how did she deal with that?
Well, we kind of shielded them from it. We never let them know. This is, her telling me we never let them know really how bad it was. But yeah, I mean, they visited me in the hospital multiple times. Um, yeah, so I don't know that she ever told them fully.
How is she handling it?
Um, she did great, and she's, obviously like I'm way, way better than what I was, but like, um, there's still a lot of things I kind of need help with, and like, it's weird because one of the biggest things right now is I just don't have the energy. So like today, I felt really good and I've done a bunch of things, but that means I'll probably crash tonight, right? And I'll maybe feel shitty tomorrow, and that's kind of like how it works. It's just like I just can't do that many things. I get worn out. My body just can't handle it. And it's not even like I'm doing a lot. It's like, previously I would have done 10 things. I'm doing like three of those. And then that's like exhausting.
Can you walk on your own?
Oh yeah. I started, um, when I left the hospital, I was, I had a walker. And I ditched that kind of a while ago. I ditched that, uh, um, once it was the end of August, I said I started trying to walk like real short distances, like here to the table or here to there, and I just got more and more comfortable. Yeah, I walked yesterday. Last week, we went on a hike, and I got lost. Don't tell my doctors that I
Oh
was
my
doing.
gosh.
But yeah, so my previous long walk was like 25 minutes. I walked we walked 47 minutes. But then that's one where it's like I felt like crap for 2 days after that. Was not good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know this might be a silly question, but like, what about driving and things like that?
I'm driving now.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Wow, that took a while. Yes. Um, yeah, I'm doing a lot of things on my own. I'm just not doing them really well, and not too much of them. And like I said, Amy helps me out. Um, Now our kids aren't great at it yet, but it's been a good opportunity for them to take more responsibility. Our oldest is really good at it, but the other ones aren't quite there yet. So yeah, I've lost it on them a few times because my main thing is like Amy is so busy, right? She's got to deal with my shit now too. Before I was a contributor,
Right.
and now I'm not really, or maybe a little bit. I'll try to help out here and there. But so it's like there's so much burden on her, and then the just everything with the hospitals and insurance. It's like I can't tell you how many hours she's spent trying to figure that out and deal with it and that type of stuff. So it's like she's been so busy, and so it's like I've really been prodding the kids to contribute more to her.
You're a pretty active guy. I mean, you were going to come back and compete at RAF.
I was so excited to wrestle, and now it's sad because I'll probably never get to wrestle again. They didn't say no for sure,
Oh,
but I think it's probably unlikely, I would guess.
I'm just
I don't
wondering,
know.
how do you not go stir crazy? Because you're coaching, you're in the gym always. Now your life is a lot more calm.
Well, I got some mats in my garage, and the kids come over to privates.
Oh wow.
Uh, yeah, that started a few weeks ago. But yeah, I mean, honestly, that's probably one of the worst parts right now is I can't be up and active for a really long time. It really wears me out, and I'm not supposed to be around people. And so, like, yeah, well, honestly, this weekend was easy for my family. We didn't have a lot of stuff going on, so it was great. But like a lot of weekends, it sucks because it's like Ozzy has football in the morning, and I can't go to that. And then Andy has cheerleading, and Alex has soccer, and so it's like I just freaking sit here alone,
Ah.
but for 6 or 7 hours or something like that. So it's not ideal.
What do you do to pass the time?
Um, read a handful of books, play on my phone. You know what I started doing? I started watching the Brewers because Ozzy, my son, loves the freaking Brewers. So I'm watching them with him, which I haven't watched baseball regularly in
Right.
20 years,
Yeah.
maybe more. But the Brewers are good this year, so it was actually kind of fun to watch, to follow them with my son.
I'll never forget when you popped up the first time you popped up on Instagram. That video that you posted, your hair was a lot darker. You had a Fu Manchu.
Yeah, it was weird. Well, I was trying to shave myself, and they like wouldn't let me.
It was it,
Yeah,
wa-
my hands and my arms didn't work. It was a disaster.
it was shocking to see you like that because you don't usually have facial hair. And um,
Yeah.
when you were in that, like when you woke up, was there a part of you that broke mentally? Where did you think like I won't get out of here? Am I like how did you deal with the news? Because when you wake
Oh.
up, you have someone who has to explain to you what just happened.
Yeah, so I think in some way, shape, or form, because I'm trying to reflect on this, like just is I think I got some issue where I can only think forward,
Hmm.
right? Because it's like, I mean, man, even in this whole time, it's been, I think it's been 12 weeks since the surgery, so probably a little less than 12 weeks since I like was conscious in that sense. Um, but like I haven't dwelled on it at all. And it's like, some days when I really feel like shit, I'm like, oh man, I wish I didn't feel like this today. I wish I could, do this or do that or something that I want to do. And I have to realize I can't do that today. I need to freaking rest because I feel terrible. And then, they always say if you push it too far, then it's going to cause complications. So, there's been a few days where I'm like, I wish I felt better today so I could do a specific something. But I haven't looked backwards all that much. It's just like, okay, here's where I am, and I got to work from this point. And one of the things I always stress my wrestlers, which I think maybe I've done it so many times I've brainwashed myself, is that um, anxiety and stress in people is generally caused by thinking about things they cannot control, and so you focus on what you can control, right? So I say, like, Ariel, if I had you fight Tom Aspinall, how many times are you going to win? And you'd say zero. I said, Ariel, if I had you fight your youngest son, how many times are you going to win? You'd say all of them. And so it's like the result of a contest is often not within our control, but it's like how hard can you try, right? Or so what happened in the past is not in my control. I can't do anything about it. Like, do I wish it was different? Of course I do, right? I was having a great time in life. Everything was moving in a positive direction, um, but I haven't really dwelled on that too much, and I think that's probably, and honestly, like I think for a lot of people, because Ariel, when I put that first Instagram video up, it was because when I first got my phone back, I don't recall which day it was. Um, my wife kept it for a while. I think she was responding to a lot of my stuff. But when I first got my phone back, I had like 1,000 some texts and 1,000 some messages, and my hands were like this. So it was like, I couldn't like text. Um, and so it's like, well, I want people to know how I'm doing, especially now that I'm likely not going to die. I want to put that out there. And I had no idea it would go as viral as it did.
Mm.
And I think a big part of that is like the message of like, hey, I am where I am and I'm going to try to get better. That has seemed to be really impactful for a lot of people.
Oh yeah. And even like your subsequent videos where you're trying to
Yeah.
like almost give us motivational messages as you're going through this. is amazing to see. But then I'm reminded of the Ben Askren that, spoke to us on this show the Monday after the Masvidal fight. Like, you've never backed down. You've always been able to put a positive spin on this. So if there was ever someone that was equipped, I think, mentally to deal with something like this, it's someone like you.
Yeah. I mean, I always said fighting or wrestling losses never really bothered me. I saw them as an opportunity to get better, an opportunity to improve. And, if I want to look at the depressing side of this, which every once in a while I bring up to my wife because she'll maybe be too optimistic. It's like, there's a whole bunch of shit that I love that I'm never going to get to do again. It's like, I'm not supposed to go outside in the sun for too long. I'm not supposed to chainsaw. You're right. I'm really not probably supposed to be around big crowds that much. After a year, maybe a little better. But it's just there's this long list of stuff I'm just not supposed to walk around barefoot. That one pisses me off. I did this morning. Don't tell anybody. So it's like, if I dwell on that, like, here's all these things that I really enjoy, really love, and I'm never going to get to do them again. Right? That'd be really disheartening. So it's like, focus on what I can do every day to get better. And then, hopefully I'll get good enough to do a lot of things I enjoy, or maybe I'll find a few other things that I enjoy to do. And, obviously I think medicine and healthcare is moving forward. So who knows, maybe in 10 years, there'll be something where they can alleviate some of these other problems I have too. I have no idea. So that's kind of how I'm envisioning it in my head, is just focus on the day to day, try to do what I can do. And, hopefully I'll be able to live a semi-regular life and do a bunch of things I enjoy. And who knows, maybe medicine gets better and I can even have a better outcome than that.
How close to 100% are they saying you can get to your own self?
I mean, they said, like, they were giving me an example of some guy who ran marathons and he was able to run a marathon. I think it was only like a year and a half after his surgery. So like they say, and there's a guy that was like, they gave me all these guys to talk to if I wanted to. One guy was like a mountaineer, so he does that. But so I think physically I can be really healthy again, but it's just like, now there'll be like this effing stack of pills I got every morning. Like, before this, I was on no medications, none, right? And now it's like, I don't know, I probably gotta take 40 pills a day.
Wow.
And that's gonna go down. But it's never, ever going to go to zero.
How often do you have to go back to your doctors? How often do you have to see them?
I just crossed a threshold. It was once a week, and now it's every other week for a while. And I think after that, it goes to once a month. And then I think after a year, it becomes even more infrequent. I don't know if it's every quarter or every 6 months or something like that.
Was there anything?
That feels like a really long ways away to me.
Sure. Was there anything you could have done in retrospect to avoid this?
I don't know. Like, well, I mean, when I think about those things, it's like, that's just not something I would have done.
Yeah.
Like when my back starts hurting on Saturday, go to the doctor. I'm sure some people would have done that. I would have done that 0 out of 100 times.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't feel sick. I worked it out. My back felt tight. So like on that Sunday, Monday, I was supposed to wrestle with a kid. And I said, hey man, my back's so bad. We got to find you a different partner because I cannot wrestle. Yeah, but I really thought it was a back spasm and I didn't feel sick at all. So I suppose I could have went to the doctor right away, but that just seems to me to be an unrealistic possibility of who I was.
And I'll let you go in a moment because you've given us a lot of your time. But I'm just curious, when I remember you got out of the hospital and then like 2 or so days later you posted a video saying I'm back. Like,
it was like 6 days, but yeah.
Okay, yes. Do you have, because everything seems very positive, but like, do you have moments where you feel yourself slipping, where you feel yourself breaking? And if so, how do you get out of that funk?
Man, I hate being in the hospital. It sucks.
Yeah.
I was there way too long this summer. No, I guess, like I said, I could have been more careful. Like my back hurts. I could have went to the doctor, which is, man, I can tell you from age 30 to 40, I don't think I went to the doctor. Like to get my hip done and that's it. But like just as a general, I'm going to go to see the doctor for whatever. Like, no, I was healthy and I didn't need to go. And I maybe took my kids to the doctor some, right? That type of thing.
Right.
Um, but now it's like, for example, I'm on all these immunosuppressants. So it's like I need to be cognizant of whom I'm around and if they're sick. And then if I start feeling stuff, I need to be able to go address that with my doctor. And so I guess I am more cognizant of it just because I'm in a little more difficult of a predicament than I was ever previously.
Did you see that the U.S. team had your initials on their gear?
Yeah, that was a man. Like I said, I don't want to get too emotional, but um, I brought up the two women flying to Vegas to help my wife with that stuff. But I've had just an insane amount of support from so many different people in so many different ways. Whether, I mean, my wife set up that Help Hope Live, which is essentially like a GoFundMe, but you can only use it for medical expenses, um, which I thought was good because I didn't want it to be like we're just getting this money. That would have been weird. I think she felt similarly. Um, we had thousands of people donate on there. I mean, it's crazy. And then, her mom's group at church set up a meal train, and I had so many friends come and visit. I mean, I'm still having them, right? Just come and visit and help out or sit with me in the hospital or, that type of stuff. And, when I was in the hospital, when I finally started walking around the hallway, it was kind of sad because it seemed like there were some people who never had anyone with them ever,
Mm.
It's like I was so lucky that I had such a great community. And honestly, sometimes it'd be too much. I'd be like, Amy, I can't take anyone else. I just need to lay here and be quiet because it's wearing me out to have too many visitors, like, so I was that's a good problem to have. And then, just everyone's just been so generous. Feels really good.
Last thing, if I may, and I don't want to ask you about specifics because I think it's very tacky, but there did become this thing as like, who's helping Ben, who's not helping Ben, famous people.
My wife said you were going to ask this.
No, but I don't want to ask you who specifically. I just want to know if there's anything you want to say about that because I don't think anyone should be forced to help anyone.
Hell no.
And so I just want to know if you wanted to clear.
Paul and Dana White both donated.
Sorry, say that again. Sorry, I missed you.
Jake Paul and Dana, they both donated.
Okay.
They were both very generous. But to your point, it's like, I don't expect anything out of him, right? If they didn't want to, they don't want to. That's their money. They should be able to do what they want with it. And I'm grateful that they felt generous enough. But then also, it's like, Amy and I talked, we don't want to talk about it too much because it's like, there was literally like 1,000 some people that made some donation. And, say $10,000 is someone who's got many millions versus $25 to someone who doesn't have anything. It's like that's just as big of a burden on that person, right? So you look at a person to person burden. And so we had so many people that were really, really generous. Those guys were both generous. And it's really, it's almost funny when it comes from like, I don't know if you call them your enemies or just people you haven't seen eye to eye with. But I mean, that kind of brings out the good side in humanity, I think.
Is there anything you want to say to the people, the average Joe, anyone who supported you? And is there anything that we need to know about how we can continue to support you?
Yeah, it's looking like it's going to be okay at this point. But yeah, we just had so many people who were really, really generous in all ways. I said in all ways, whether it was meals or helping with our kids, because especially when I wasn't awake, my wife had to deal with all the medical stuff. If they needed something, they talked to her because I couldn't talk. From donations to Help Hope Live, a lot of college friends and old friends coming to visit me and see me just to spend some time with me. Yeah, really in all ways, it was a really, obviously I never would have chosen to go through it, but it was really amazing to see how generous and charitable people were.
Amazing. Thank you, Ben. All the best to you. Get well soon. Really appreciate you coming on.
You got it.
There he is, Ben Askren, who has been through a lot. What a summer for him, but so great to see him on the other side of it. And I was in that process reminded of who he is as a person and the stuff that he's been through and the way he would handle setbacks. Truth be told, he didn't have a lot of public setbacks, but back end of his career, the Masvidal fight, the Jake Paul situation, and he handled it just like this, just like the guy that you see on social media. Very matter of fact, positive outlook, very inspirational. And it's amazing to think back to, I remember getting the message from someone close to him that it wasn't looking great. And now to see him here and looking like that, looking like his old self. I know he doesn't feel like his old self and he's obviously skinnier, but to see how far he's come is pretty amazing. And yeah, shout out to his wife, Amy, who appears to be an angel. I know her very, very much from afar, but obviously they've been together for a while and seems so loving and supportive of him. And I can't imagine what she's been through when you're seeing your significant other getting transported, your partner, the father of your children, and in a state like that. I can't imagine how scary that is. So shout out to them, shout out to the Askrens, much love to them, and I wish that he only continues to get better, and that who knows, maybe he defies the odds once again and competes for RAF or does some sort of exhibition and shows us all that we can truly overcome everything.